I listened to your band a little bit. By a little bit, I mean about 4.5 seconds. I just needed to get kind of a gist of
Vibe.
it, a little vibe. And I
And to
get a
contrast that, I've listened to your album like at least 3 or 4 times this
he likes
week.
it.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. You sound a lot like Iggy Pop.
Oh, cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
Do you like that? Because I like that too. I like Iggy Pop as well. Specifically, I was listening to a song I can't remember the name of, and it just sounded like your voice is nice. Are you singing? Is that you doing that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm about it.
Did you write the lyrics?
Hmm.
Did we mention the band name? It's called Primitive State. I
Yeah,
think I
Primitive
mentioned
State.
it previously.
Yeah, I write the lyrics, basically the music.
Who did the graphics? That Florida gun graphic is really cool.
My artist buddy, Caleb Conheady, he's also a tattoo artist in case anyone is interested. Look him up.
Yeah, I'm interested in tattoo artists. They're usually very attractive.
he he's awesome. He does like realistic artwork sometimes that like blows my mind. Like he there was like this he like drew like this homeless guy who was smoking out of a crack pipe, and he made like him and the smoke, like the contrast of it looks so realistic. And like that's what made me like want to like work with him. Originally I wanted to work with him because I wrote a screenplay called Reyes Estate, and I wanted him to do storyboards for it. And he started doing that after I saw that, and then that's kind of how we became friends. And then I was just like, "Hey, could you draw this really simple design?" And then he did, and it was cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I like it a lot. I think it's very artistic.
I like it.
Yeah, very original.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, I don't know. Florida always seems like kind of a wild card, and so I made it the gun
Florida
of America.
man.
Yeah.
It is, and that makes sense.
When it comes to the primitive state music, basically it starts out with just me and my acoustic, and I write out everything having to do with rhythm guitar and vocals and lyrics, and then my producer Josh Medina, we wouldn't have I wouldn't have an album without him. Like we literally, he's just been a fan of my music. He was just like before we started recording, I think in like 2018. Um, he was just a fan of my music for a couple years, and like he thought it was stupid I wasn't like putting any money towards making an album. And so he's like, why don't you just come down to my warehouse studio that I work for this guy who owns this warehouse. I record bands there. I was like, okay. And he's like, we can jam. I was like, sure. So I went over there and we started playing music, and he was just like, why don't we just make an album? I was like, well, I mean, I don't have money for that. I just make music because it's fun. And he's just like, just we'll make an album.
You don't
And I
have
was
choice.
like,
You do it.
okay,
Yeah.
let's
It's
do
gonna
that.
be fun. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And so he's just like, yeah, well, the money thing, pay me whenever you have $5,000. I was like, okay. Um, so
I don't
that
think I've
debt's
ever
still
just
there.
had $5,000. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean that's making albums. So we made this album, and basically what I would it was the coolest process making the first album, because basically I would go in there and we would be like, Josh would be like, okay, I want to do this song, and because we really did design this as like, here's a partnership, and I'm gonna kind of have him direct like what songs we really want, and then like if I don't want a song on the album that he does, then we won't do it. But for the most part, he was kind of directing it. So he was just like, okay, let's do say Streetwalker, and I was like, okay. And so I went over there, and I got like my guitarist friend Andy Gonzalez, who does a lot of the lead work on it, and Dylan Welker, who does a lot of the lead work on it. And we went over there, and we just had the bare bones on the acoustic and my voice. And then every single time we would go in to record, it was like we were just building a song from scratch for like 6 or 8 hours. And then at the end of the day, we would have like the finished product. And it was so cool because it was like you would go in and you would have no expectations of what this song was going to sound like at the end of the day. And then there it is. And I think that's why the album is as I guess eclectic as it is. Like it's not really shaped to like one sound or anything like that. It's kind of cut up where it's like sometimes it's Western, sometimes it's pop, sometimes it's punk, sometimes it's psychedelic instrumental, sometimes it's just like it's a few different things, and it's all kind of crafted together. And
Right. It's not like a drastic change either. Like the cohesiveness of the album itself, it still seems like the same genre, but like within those different elements, you definitely see difference in the tracks.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like yeah, 4 seconds.
Yeah, it's a
But
good
yeah,
4 seconds.
But
One song.
but yeah, that's one thing that I've always really enjoyed people saying about it, because I really had this in mind when I was putting the track list together, was like people are like, this almost feels like a movie, where it's just like the way there's a beginning, middle, and end, and it's very cohesive in that sense. And I've been happy to hear that, because that's exactly what I went for when I was putting the tracks together, like when it comes to the order.
All right, subtle brag. Jeez.
I mean, this is his thoughts.